Hey guys, it is me, Marty, and it is time for another video. Today's video is going to be a lot more fun and informative than my past few videos. Today I'm going to be making a trans dictionary. What that's going to be is just, we have so many terms and sayings and abbreviations in our community that people outside don't really understand, and people in our community don't even understand, so I figured why not make a video where I kind of make a dictionary of some of the shit that we say. The way that I'm going to do this is I'm going to give a definition of the thing I'm going to use, the dictionary definition. If there is no dictionary definition, I'm going to use the Urban Dictionary definition because some of them are actually pretty decent. I'm going to have screenshots of all of them up here, because some of them they just don't have, there's no actual definition for these words because they're slang. So that's why I'm going to use the Urban Dictionary. And then I'm also going to give my own personal, how I use the word. To figure out what words I should use, I went off of things that people ask me about, what I hear people ask mostly about, words that I didn't understand when I started transitioning. And then I also asked my friends, but my friends, they weren't very helpful. So anyway, without further ado, let's jump into it. Alright, so I have this organized into 3 sections. Section number 1 is going to be common terminology, shit that you hear all the time. Probably everybody knows these words, but I'm still going to give them the dictionary definition on top of how people use them. Part number 2 is going to be the medical terminology. So if it's a treatment, or if it's like a surgery, or anything, pretty much anything that involves the medical side of transitioning, that is going to be in section 2. Number 3 is going to be a section of words that are more or less used in the community, words that aren't really used as much outside of the community, but they're still words that people probably hear and are just like, what the fuck are these people talking about? So that's what the next section is going to be. I probably have missed some things, and I'm sure, let me know down below if you guys have other ones. Maybe if I missed enough, I'll make a part 2. Probably not, but we'll see. Anyway, that's a huge little introduction. Let's just start getting into these words. Okay, so part 1 is the common terms. We're going to start off with the most basic. First one's first is cis or cisgender. That's the one that some people know, some people don't. Typically, so the dictionary definition of what cisgender means is referring or relating to people whose sense of personal identity and gender corresponds with their birth sex. So more or less, your brain lines up with your body. In chemistry terms, which is where cisgender was coined from, was the term cis, which is used in chemistry, and what that means is it just denotes or relates to a molecular structure in which 2 particular atoms lie on the same side of a given plane. So it's where things line up. It's pretty basic of that. It comes from Latin, which I think means the same. I don't know, there's lots of word rules into it. The next one is trans or transgender. Typically people, when they say trans, they're, saying transgender, so that's why I put those 2 together. The dictionary definition of that is referring or relating to people whose sense of personal identity and gender does not correspond with their birth sex. That's another word that, again, the original thing came from chemistry, and it's pretty much the complete opposite of what cis means. It means that it is denoting or relating a molecular structure in which 2 particular atoms or groups lie on the opposite side, giving a plane in the molecule. So all it means is they don't line up. And that's pretty much like how I would use a cis person. I mean, those are pretty basic. A cis person is somebody who is okay and comfortable with their assigned at birth gender. A trans person is somebody who is not. The next one is transsexual, which is one that I think probably just because of how I was raised bothers me, just because it has the word sexual in it. Then I hear the word sexual and I'm just like, I'm an innocent flower. I don't like that word, and I don't understand why, but it's something that I've become a lot more comfortable with, because a lot of people started using that more. Because what transsexual means in the dictionary is a person who has undergone treatment in order to acquire the physical characteristics of the opposite sex. Essentially, transsexuals are people who have medically transitioned. They've gone through the treatments that they needed to transition. I guess technically I would be considered a transsexual. People who have gone through that would be what transsexual is. I know that's one of those words that some people are okay with, other people are not. I think it's something that people are trying to reclaim and make their own, and a lot of people are starting to use transsexual instead of transgender because transgender has lost its meaning. Next is the medical section. Most of these don't have dictionary definitions. It's just explaining the abbreviations that we use or the terminology or what exactly it is. So just so you guys know. So the first one is informed consent. They basically give you a paper that says if you take hormones, this, and this will happen. And if you're okay with that, sign this paper. We won't be liable if you regret it, and you're good to go. The next one is HRT, which is hormone replacement therapy. It's just when somebody is taking the hormones for the opposite gender of what they were assigned at birth. Like for instance, I'm doing HRT, I'm doing hormone replacement therapy, I take estrogen and I take testosterone blockers. That's what hormone replacement therapy is. And then some of the like sub things that people do it is they will say T. T is testosterone, obviously, but that's what a lot of people say. You know, I got my T today. You know, E is estrogen, which that gets really complicated because people also say E for ecstasy. So there's been a few times where I'm like, yeah, I took my E, and they're like, aren't you at work? And I'm just like, not that kind of E. And then T blockers, which is typically something like spironolactone. I don't remember the names of the other things. I think aldactone, I think, is the other name for it. I can't remember for sure. And there's other testosterone blockers. I just don't know them all, but basically that's what people mean when they say T blocker. Alright, the next one is surgery stuff. Most of it it's very basic stuff, so it's not going to go into like the specific terminologies for him, but it's going to be like the most basic stuff. So the first one would be BA or top surgery. Both of those are typically a trans guy will say top surgery. That is when they get their top fixed, and they get that all taken care of to help with their dysphoria. And then, you know, breast augmentation is obviously a breast augmentation, and you know, some trans women refer to that as top surgery as well. It really just depends on who you're talking to. That's kind of like a self-explanatory one, but I just wanted to cover that base. The next is bottom surgery, which also people sometimes will say SRS, GRS, or GCS. Essentially, bottom surgery is when people are referring to their bottom surgery, you know, the surgery, the snip. And what those are, and then like the sub ways that people describe it, is SRS, which is sex reassignment surgery. GRS is gender reassignment surgery. GCS is gender confirmation surgery. They're all different names. People use different ones depending on where you live in the world and just the way your doctor's is. I use SRS. That seems to be the most common one that people use. But that's what all of those are, and those are just the surgeries that you get downstairs. Then the last one for surgeries would be FFS. That's where they do surgeries to give you more feminine features on your face. I don't know what all is included in FFS. I know that they could do like voice stuff. They could, you know, basically completely change up your face. I don't know if they have that for female to males. I didn't want to talk too much about like their stuff because obviously it's not something that I've dealt with and I don't know much about it. But that's like but FFS is basically where they just make your face more feminine, and they like change up some of your masculine features if you so choose. Alright, so now we're into this last section, and these are terms that you might hear, but they aren't used as frequently, but in the community, you'll probably hear them a lot. So the first one is AFAB and AMAB. What those mean is assigned female at birth and assigned male at birth. And I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory. That just means, like, I would be considered AMAB. I was assigned male at birth. And that's all that means. It's an easy way. It's a very short way of saying that, like, I was born a male, and now I'm not. Alright, the next one is gender dysphoria, or just dysphoria. As a dictionary term, what that is the condition of feeling one's emotional and psychological identity as male or female to be the opposite of one's biological sex. I actually have literally made a video all about dysphoria. It's very shitty, don't go looking for it. But it took me 20 minutes and I still didn't even put it into words right. It's extremely hard to explain, but the easiest way is just put it is, you know, it's that feeling of just trappedness. Like, that's literally, if I had to summarize it down to one word, it's just trapped, or prison, or something like that. But basically, but when people are talking about dysphoria, they're talking about gender dysphoria. They're talking about the disconnect that they have. They're talking about the uncomfortableness, just that feeling that if you're trans, you know what I'm trying to say, and you're probably just like, yes, I'm struggling putting it into words too. The next one that goes kind of hand in hand with this is gender euphoria. Which that I can make a whole video on. I probably fucking will. What that is a new term that people are using that are saying that they don't feel gender dysphoria, but they feel gender euphoria, which is when they transition and start being seen as their preferred gender, they feel better about themselves, like they just feel good. So it's basically just, so it's feeling a euphoric feeling, a good feeling about being seen as your preferred gender. So the next one is Truscum and Transmed, which pretty much are the same exact word. It's just different terminology for the same. It's just different ways to describe it. So the Urban Dictionary definition of this word is someone who acknowledges the medical reasons behind transsexualism and believes you have to feel dysphoria to be trans, and that gender is not a cool accessory for one to choose and flaunt. Essentially, being true scum just means that you believe that you need dysphoria to be trans. So that's what that means. It's essentially, and it's same with Transmed. Essentially, you believe in the medical scientific findings on trans people. The next one, and the one that kind of goes hand in hand with it, is Tucute or Tucute. I don't know how to pronounce it, and if it's Tucute, it just, I don't know, it's just such a weird word to say. Or Transgender. Those are kind of the same, kind of different. I just lumped them in together because I can kind of summarize them up. They're essentially somebody, because typically a transgender is also a Tucute. That's why I'm lumping them together. But a Tucute is somebody who believes that gender dysphoria is not necessary to be transgender. Basically, they're the complete opposite of Truscum. They believe that if you want to just change your gender for the fuck of it, go for it. And so that's the belief of them. And then transgenders are the people who, again, if they want to change their gender, just fucking go for it. Just do you, fam. And so that is what that is. The next one is TERF, which is an abbreviation for Trans Exclusionary Radical Feminist. And what that is a group of feminists that claims that trans women aren't really women and that trans men are gender traitors, which is pretty much exactly that. They act like trans women, so like me, I am just somebody who is trying to infiltrate the ranks of women to subvert everything that they did from the inside, and that trans men are just are traitors to their own gender, and that they like deserve to fucking burn because they are traitors against women. It's a really strange ideology, but I'm not gonna rant on that in here either. And then the next one is MOGAI. I think that's how you pronounce it. What that stands for is Marginalized Orientations, Gender Identities, and Intersex. That's one that I don't really use, but I see it used a lot. That's just something that a lot of people have been using in place of LGBT, which, you know, that's, you know, lesbian, gay, bi, and trans. And, you know, obviously this kind of encompasses a lot more. I still like to use the word quilt bag just because it's the easiest to say still, which stands for queer, undecided, intersex, lesbian, trans, bi, asexual, and gay, I think. I don't know. I'll put the definitions somewhere. So anyway, that is all of the terms that I can come up with. I really hope that this was informative to you guys. If I missed any, which I'm sure I have, go ahead and let me know down in the comments section if you have any input to some of these things, or if I got something wrong. Like I said, a lot of these I was just basing off of the way that I use these words and the way that I interpret them, which is the way a lot of people do. And then again, I used Urban Dictionary for some of these. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, check out my other things, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Bye!